temple was destroyed by...
But Jesus represents himself as the new covenant, that the old covenant given to Abraham had come to an end. And then the New Testament with Jesus Christ being born and crucified was the establishment of the new covenant of love in his body and blood sacrifice.
That's the transition period. So you don't have a complete elimination of the old and the new with the death, burial, and resurrection. You also have the adjudication. You also have the judgment. Okay,
that's judgment. Revelation.
Right. That is the generation. That's the 40
Revelation.
Okay, hold on. The time period between the resurrection and ascension is 40 years.
No, because the apostles were still alive.
Okay, listen to what I'm saying.
They went up to the upper room.
Right, I'm going to try to say it again. The transition period is 40 years. Okay, AD 70, this is in the typical time frame, whether or not we want to question whether there is 1,000 years of history that's missing. I don't want to get into that. My point is, the mainstream narrative says that the temple of Israel, of Jerusalem, was destroyed in 70 AD.
Yes, 40, I agree.
Okay, great. 40 years before that is 30 AD, which would put us in the crucifixion, resurrection, ascension. Jesus said in Matthew 24, all of these things will happen in this generation. The biblical concept of a generation is 40 years. So the transition period is a 40-year transition. The Old Testament didn't end with the resurrection and ascension. It ended
I believe
with...
that...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll just repeat myself. The Old Testament didn't come to an end with the resurrection and ascension. It came to an end with the adjudication, which would be the coming of the Son of Man, which would be the destruction of the temple, which is what Jesus describes in Matthew 24. When the disciples say to Jesus, look at all of these buildings. Look at all of these magnificent structures. We have the temple, Jesus. And Jesus says, do you see all these things? I tell you, not one stone will be left on another. The entire Olivet Discourse, which is Matthew 24 and 25, is about AD 70. Every part of it. So the coming of the Son of Man is about the destruction of the temple, which is about the end of the Old Covenant system. So the Old Covenant system is a transition, the 40-year transition, which is why the gospel had to go out, so that the Jews who were dispersed in Galatia and Asia Minor and Thessalonica and Corinth and Colossae and Ephesus, all of those locations had synagogues that had Jews in them that were in the end times. And Jesus sent his disciples out as fishers of men so that the message of the gospel would go out to those who needed to hear it, so that when the destruction of the temple came, they would be on the right side of history, so to speak. I'm done.
Okay.
But I'm not done. Like I said, the last thing I'm going to say really is, again, this is a huge discussion. It's not. I don't expect that the light's going to go on. I just don't, and that's perfectly okay with me. This is a big discussion that has tons of questions. So I don't expect that this is going to be resolved right now. I'm just giving you more information that you can either choose to process or not.
I've got a quick question for both of you. Oh, by the way, hi, Flatten Earth.
Hey, Flatten Earth.
So my question is, fill in the blanks. The blank shall lay down with the lamb.
Mandela.
Lion for you, Samantha?
I went out and bought statues of lions and lambs. Catholics are big on statues. And there were multiple lions and lambs. I didn't find one wolf and a lamb statue. And so that there, at least, and some of these are older statues. I mean, like 1950s.
Yeah. What about you, Travis?
Wolf.
You're wolf? That's interesting.
Yeah, my explanation of that is that you have a conflation. Okay. So the only place that Jesus is referred to as a lion and a lamb is in the book of Revelation. The lion of the tribe of Judah and the lamb. All right. So you have a conflation. Isaiah, in his description of the new covenant, Isaiah uses the metaphor of a wolf lying down with a lamb. So it's an innocent conflation. Jesus is referred to as a lion and a lamb, and people just didn't. they just married the two. There's no difficult resolution.
Are you that way with all Mandela effect items?
No, I mean, I suppose because the reason why I will say no is because I'm not that naive to think that they are so easily resolved. So we would have to discuss, each one in its own turn. But in this one, I am going to be 99% firm.
Okay. Well, for someone who isn't religious or grew up religious, I always thought it was lion should lay down with the lamb too. But
I would say that that's probably simply because you're not religious, because you aren't in the community, that you simply hear the conflation that other people make.
Yeah, I guess that is true. But I mean, it's interesting when I look online on videos and so many pastors and stuff like that. Just
oh no, I gave Brian Stavely. I gave him a link. I was listening a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to my mom. My mom sent me, because my mom, she'll tolerate me with Flat Earth, and she'll tolerate me with my end times discussion because she loves me, right? Because I'm her son. But she sent me this. She's like, listen to this thing by John MacArthur. I love John MacArthur, and I loved John MacArthur when I was a kid too. And so I said, okay, I'll listen to it. So I listened to this lecture, and in the lecture he said lion and lamb. So I sent this to Brian Stavely. I'm like, Brian, check out minute XYZ. He's like, oh, bro, this is awesome. Thanks for doing this. So I mean, it's there, but you've got someone like John MacArthur, who is a 50-year veteran of Bible teaching. And he says the lion lays down with the lamb. And I'm just telling you, it's a conflation. It's just this innocent. It's a hiccup. That's all it is.
Yeah. I would disagree.
Kathy is the same. Kathy says, I'm 65 and studied the Bible much of my life. No, it was lion.
Yeah, every nun
Okay.
and priest who ever went on about it was saying
Okay.
lion and
So
lamb. I
right.
think you can
Okay.
find a lot of stained glass windows of lions and lambs in church after church.
Yeah.
So
For me.
my
Sorry. Go ahead.
well, I guess my question would be, and this is where I actually said this to Brian. You know who I mean by Brian Stavely?
I don't know.
I am not familiar with him.
Okay, so he's got a channel. I think he's got like 2 or 3 channels because he gets shut down all the time because he's a 9/11 truther. His main channel is called The Real News Online. The Real News Online, and then I think his other backup channels are Brian Stavely, all in one word, Brian Stavely. Anyway, so what I said to him was, I'm like, okay, look, dude, I'm totally open. Okay, right? I've changed my mind about the shape of the world. I've changed my mind about the coming of Christ. So I'm not closed-minded, bro. I need you to show me a text that says the lion will lay down with the lamb. You can't do it.
Well, that's Mandela effect. We can't. We can't get it.
But okay, but listen, hold on.
Oh, you know what? I have an interesting example.
Well, no.
Hold on.
Hold on.
I can give you a physical example.
Let me moderate. Travis go, and then Samantha go, and then I'll go.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to understand that if you don't have an example, the argument falls apart. You can't say it was one way when all you have is the wolf will lay down with the lamb. You can't say it said the lion at one point when all you have is the wolf. Because if you look in my Bible right now, it will not say the lion shall lay down with the lamb. It'll say the wolf. So you can't say, well, at one point, some other time it said lion. Okay, show me that. Well, that's the Mandela effect.
Yeah,
right?
That's
get what I'm saying.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Go ahead, Samantha, and then I'll go.
Okay, I had a 1972 version of the New American Standard Bible, Catholic Bible, and a New American Standard Catechism. In the Catechism, it said lion and lamb. In the Bible, for the same verse, same chapter, it said wolf and lamb.
Huh.
So that was 1972 New American Standard Bible and Catechism.
Right.
Now, why would the Catechism denounce what the Bible had said?
That's a good question.
And for me, in my reply,
if it still says that, if it corrected, because I've seen Mandela effects catch up to the glitches, and they do sometimes change the glitches.
Yeah, my thing is that religious people are very good at remembering their scriptures, and that it's just that one line that gets changed, and people remember so many other scriptures, the chapter and the verse very well, and just to have just that one particular one being such a big change in the system. The thing is, I can understand if it's conflation coming from me, but for a whole bunch of people who memorize so many chapters and verses that they just got
the art.
Yeah, and some of the art. Like for me, a big one was, I'm not sure if you guys noticed it either, but in the depictions.
Hold on. Let me stop real quick, Ebon.
Sure.
So let me ask Samantha. So when you say art, right? So if we're having a discussion right now, and I would say, okay, can you show me a depiction in art?
Because I have 2 statues in my house at the moment. One to the 1950s and one of probably 1970s that have the lion and the lamb.
Because here's the thing I want to ask you.
One has Mary and the lion and the lamb.
Okay, that's not an issue for me. My question though is, I don't have a problem with. Okay, let's say for instance, all 3 of us have no concept of the Mandela effect, and we all show up at Samantha's house, and she's got an artistic rendering of the lion and the lamb.
Multiple.
Okay, whatever. Okay, so we only see the first one. Even though you've got multiple, we only see one because you got the multiple back in your study, and your study is where you keep all of the other multiples. But in the first entryway, we've got the lion laying down with the lamb or whatever. But it's only in pictorial form. My question is, where do we get the idea that this is the representation of the Mandela effect wolf / lion? Because remember what I said was the New Testament in the book of Revelation refers to Jesus as both lion and lamb. So as I walk into your entryway and I see this depiction and I see lion and lamb, I'm not going to think Isaiah. I'm going to think Revelation, because Revelation shows me the lion and the lamb. But the book of Isaiah shows me the wolf and the lamb. So we have to have context set to it. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you tell me that there are artistic depictions in pictorial form of the Mandela effect, I'm going to need more information. That's all I'm saying.
So talking about pictorial forms, I wanted to ask you another one, and this could be Mandela effect. But Moses, depiction of Moses, does he have horns or does he not have horns?
No, he didn't, but he does now.
What about you, Travis?
Well, Auguste Doré is, I think, the artist that most people refer to that shows a light projection which comes out from behind Moses's head, which to me doesn't look like horns. It looks like two rays of light that come out from behind his head. So, yeah.
Ebon, I thought you were talking about the statue.
Yeah, there's
Leonardo
statues as well, like Michelangelo.
Yeah, he didn't. In my childhood, I never saw horns. And my mom was an art master, had her master's degree in art. I had to study all that stuff. Never saw the horns until just a few years ago. Then I was like, what the heck? I hadn't seen this version of the statue.
All right. So I guess my question would be, are they horns like antelope or sheep?
Goat horns, like these little pointy little things.
If you Google Moses space horns, you'll see a bunch of images and sculptures.
Mm-hmm. No, I never saw any of that, and my mom was pretty nitpicky about making me look at the artwork and such.
Yeah, I never realized he had horns either. Otherwise, I would go, hey, why would Moses have horns? I would have asked that. But
no.
All right, I'm gonna do that right now.
I think that goes. I see that
Google
as more
this
of
right now.
Pan.
Okay.
You know, Pan has always had horns. And,
yeah.
And in the last few years, Pan and / Baal has come up so much. You know, since all the Mandela effects started, Pan always existed, but I think we're getting kind of inundated with the Pan image, and that's when all of a sudden, a few years ago, people said, "Oh, Moses has horns," and that's how I connected.
I think it's
I
just.
could be wrong, but.
That's
my own personal. I mean, you know, I think because I believe we're in end times, we're getting inundated with Satanism and satanic imagery and just black magic, just spells on our reality. That these images are sneaking in to us through whatever dimensional shifts.
So okay, let me ask you. Okay, so let's bring this back to it. Okay, so I'm looking at this for the first time, right? So I'm getting like Mandela right now, right? So
okay.
I just Googled Moses horns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm clicking the images, and I've got images of Pan / Moses.
Right.
And the question though becomes, for me, because I understand symbolism,
mm-hmm.
what is the symbolic meaning, because I don't have a problem with symbolism,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It goes back to Baal was the god they were in Mystery Babylon and antediluvian, before the flood. The people were building the Tower of Babel and worshiping Baal, which is Pan, the god Pan. That was the child sacrifice and all that. And then you see Baphomet today is the more common image that has the little girl on one side and the little boy on the other. And that's a very long story. I don't know if I'm drawing any.
Okay, so I guess my question would still remain. That is, okay, but what does it symbolize? If you say it symbolizes Baphomet, go ahead.
What I'm saying is that basically Moses was kind of he gave us the 10 Commandments of God. I think it's just, I can't give you the entire, I'm just kind of going from old thoughts. I'm getting tired here too. Basically, it's black magic inverts everything, making the good evil, the evil good. So you're talking about Moses, who is an iconic figure in Old Testament and New Testament in other cultures as well, with the 10 Commandments. It's basically taking this icon of faith and turning it into something evil by mimicking the representation of Pan through the horns. That's just my impression. I can't say that I have anything really to back that up other than just bits and pieces that come to mind right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I do see a lot of inversion, and I would call it perversion as well. You only invert it to pervert it, you know? And then I see that.
All right, so I guess my question, I'm looking at this stuff, I'm just going like, this is just a basic Google search. So there's like hundreds of images.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this one though, I know you can't see that what I'm looking at.
You can share it.
Yeah, but I'm on my PC right now. I guess I could go in and.
I'm on my phone. I really can't draw it up.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I could try to do that. I'd have to go back to your channel.
Don't worry. We could do like a dedicated talk on this some other night, and we can have.
You know what? I'm exhausted. It's been a long night. It's been a fascinating discussion. Hello to everybody who bothered to listen in. I don't know how many people are there.
Not much. People come in, come out, but it's never
Any
big.
good comments?
Mostly Kathy B. I mean, she likes to research into things. She's also a big like had to study everything with the Bible and stuff, and she remembers lions, and I think she's Mandela affected too. But thank you for coming in, Samantha, and you too, Travis. I can keep this going for an hour. There's probably if you want to stay in.
I'll be snoring.
Good stuff.
Okay, you should definitely come in another night, Samantha.
Certainly. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Good evening.
Have a good
Thanks
night.
for coming in, Samantha.
Now,
all right, Ebon.
Hi, how's it going? Like for me, when you're talking about, when both of you are talking about the religions aspects and information, it's since I'm agnostic, I don't have preconceived notions of how things are. So I can't have it.
That's an interesting facet, because I think at the same time, even though you don't have a strong religious background, I think that you still have what I guess we would call residue.
Yep.
Because you've heard certain things.
I've heard and I've read. I mean, so I read really fast. I was always a slow learner. And then like I didn't read a normal book that wasn't a Garfield book until I was like 11. And then once I started to go to like the public library, like there are some books that I read that I loved, but I read so slow. It's like, how am I gonna read all these books? So the first book I read and started to practice is how to speed read. And so I got to reading books really fast and reading a lot of books. And it wasn't until I was maybe 16, 17 that I really wanted to see if I could find a religion. So I just read all these different types of religious books, from, the Old Testament, the Quran, New Testament, King James version, the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and a lot of Native American stuff. And at that point, I was like, well, I don't find anything I believe in. So I stopped, and then I looked again when I was around 20, when I was in the Navy, and I read a lot of different things over again, and I was like, okay, I still can't find anything. I'll just keep waiting, and then I haven't really looked until I've become like flat earther. Like I like when I looked into like occultism and rabbit holes. Yeah, I came across a lot of the more esoteric type of things, like theosophy and Gnosticism, and way back then I also got into like Zen Buddhism and Taoism, but 20 about 20 years later, taking another look at everything, including Taoism and what's the other one, even Confucianism, and a whole bunch of other religions out there, focusing more again on the like the Book of Enoch, the Nag Hammadi, and there's a lot of other things out there. But still, I always remembered certain things, like we were mentioning. I never pictured Moses with the horns, or at least it's like it took me by surprise when I learned that. Looking through all the lists of Mandela effects that people keep saying, that, and then the lion shall lay down with the lamb is actually wolf. That got me. And like if we went through a whole list of Mandela effects, I've got a lot on my list.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess to bring it back to and keep it focused on the religious aspect, if you are interested in reading something that would stretch your religious hermeneutic. Do you know what I mean by that term, hermeneutic?
Hermetic or hermeneutic?
Hermeneutic.
I never heard of that.
That's the Greek word that is translated as interpretation. Okay. So the I think that I'm pretty sure that this book is available online. It's called Through New Eyes. Okay. And it's by the author is James Jordan.
Okay.
So if you don't mind reading electronically, I'm pretty sure it's available for free in PDF. If not, you can order it. So
361 pages. Wow.
That would be, and some of them have illustrations, just these just basic diagrams. So, but that's going to give you the starting point of where my mind started to change.
Yep.
He, I kind of like.
Is this focused on both the Old and the New Testament?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to help you understand how you need to keep both of those aspects, the old and new, together. Okay. That is that the old is the way that you understand the new. If you don't understand the old, you're not going to understand the new.
Yeah.
And so this is going to give you that kind of a foundation to show, okay, this is what the old means, so that when you get to the new, you need to run it through the same grid.
Oh my goodness. This is weird. No one played music. They said copyright. The stream has been stopped because we detected copyright audio or video because we
Really?
received a complaint of a community guidelines violation.
Shut up. Are you
No,
serious?
seriously.
What the heck?
Let me
That is crazy.
Oh my goodness. You gotta be kidding me. Alright, so just to show people later that I'm not joking. This is silly. Like, I didn't play any music.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
And someone had to have made a complaint.
How many people are watching? I mean, it's
like 3 people.
I know, right? I'm not trying to rub your nose in that, but I'm just saying, really?
Yeah, I
really?
just... Oh.
Wow. That is insane.
It's funny how people just don't like people having conversations about what most people won't have conversations about. Like, I love having you and Samantha talking about different viewpoints of the Christianity and your different viewpoints, and like I enjoy it. I don't other people may not, but you know, it's that you guys can talk civilly in a civil manner. Let's just say that. About it without going in like yelling and starting to attack each other with ad hominems and
yeah.
It's great, but maybe that's what the controllers don't want. They don't want us talking civilly to find out the ultimate truth if we can. I mean, we're gonna get things wrong. You might be wrong, Samantha might be wrong, I might be wrong, but eventually, if we keep figuring out that we're wrong, we're gonna figure out what's right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right.
But man, I can't believe that happened. But I'm still going on. As far as that's why I multi-stream. I stream through D-Live, Vim.tv, which is through Steemit and Periscope, and even after this, I'll still upload it to my secondary account, which is my Tequila Mockingbird account. So I've got a lot of
Tequila Mockingbird. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a literary illusion.
Yep.
You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view.
That's interesting. Yeah, because like To Kill a Mockingbird, the book, but I'm spelling it like tequila, like to drink, and then the idea of Operation Mockingbird, which I don't like, which I want to kill. So there you go.
Yeah, good. That's interesting. I think now that you said the tequila, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, basically when I listen to a lot of religious things, I just like to see how different religions, because I'm more focusing on ancient mythology, those types of religious aspects, and even the Native American ones, and if I can, like the different tribes in Africa, and just try to tie in similarities throughout whatever everyone is looking into, and see if there's correlations. Like I just find it interesting to find certain symbolism shared throughout centuries and continents apart, where the official history books would say there should never be any correlation between the two because they're thousands of miles apart. And
Yep.
They didn't have any type of relay system. You know, it's like the only way they could have probably traveled is to know that they can get to another part, but that means they need ships that can travel through the ocean for a couple hundred, if not 1,000 miles, and like that's like an impossibility through the official history books. But they would just attribute it as, hey, it's just it's just an idea that people have. They're going to share the same ideas with symbols, but then when they say the symbols have the same meaning, that's when it gets me. It's like, okay, so they got the same symbols. Sure, that could be a coincidence, but now these symbols that they say that they have all have the same meaning. So how do you explain that? And then you just hear crickets.
Right. That would be the question begging.
Yeah.
So you would have to, like we would say on the flat Earth debate, would be correlation is not causation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't necessarily say correlation is equivocation,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, fine. If you want to say that, fine. Prove it. Prove they're the same. Just because there's a correlation there doesn't mean that they are what you say they are. But that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just like looking into that because it's just interesting that all these things just kind of correlate. And like my biggest thing before I got into flat Earth was looking at the solar calendar cycle, because the Mayans and even the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, were very good at math and geometry, and I would think that, and this was way before heliocentrism or even the elliptical orbits, because elliptical orbits was through Kepler back in like the 1500s, right? So no way that the Mayans nor the ancient Egyptians knew that there was an elliptical orbit, much less that there was a heliocentric model.
Yeah.
But a full circle is 360 degrees, and why not create a calendar based off of a perfect circle? But then in the ancient mythological stories, and the Mayans state that the 360 days became 365 days, and those extra 5 days were unlucky days. You want to stay inside in those days. But what's interesting is ancient mythology for Egypt. Those days are a sign of good things, because that's 5 new deities being born in Egyptian mythology. The reason those 5 extra days occurred is Thoth took 1/72 of the moon's light, which is, if you take 360 days and divide it by 72, you get 5. And that's why you get the 5 extra days based on it. Thoth winning a wager just to ensure that another deity would have kids from Osiris. So it's interesting because both of them said that the sun had a 360-day cycle, but then it changed to 365 in their mythological accounts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that blew my mind when I was first into the flat Earth was when I came across Crow 777, and his talk about nature. It just started resonating with me, and so the whole alchemical discussion for me is very, very intriguing and very appealing. So it's yeah.
I'm a little bit hesitant with Crow 777, because I don't know his name or his face, of course. And
he's coming out. His face is coming out in the new documentary that's going to be released.
Okay.
Have you seen that yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so the documentary, and I shouldn't say will be released. It was released. So he has come out at least on film. He's still Crow. He's still Crow.
Yep.
But his face is known now.
Okay.
So I know that. Yeah, I guess it would still be available. It's called Shoot the Moon.
Yeah, I remember him talking about it because.
Yeah, so I think they released it either 2 or 3 weeks ago. I watched it when it was released, and yeah, so he comes out and gives a video representation of who he is.
I mean, I like that he's covered some things and that no one else has, but I'm just waiting on other people to verify that they can catch it as well. You know, like the moon having the waves.
Well, yeah. I haven't looked into it except for seeing what he saw, but he does report that you've got numerous people that have published their lunar wave. I think there's another guy at least that you could possibly look up. His name is Randy from Houston. That's his channel name.
Okay.
RA Romeo Alpha Delta Yahoo.
Do they? I mean, can't. My question is, because I can't interview him, is if he goes out to film it, does he always get that lunar wave, or is it certain days and times?
As far as I can remember, from what he has said, it's the equinox.
Okay.
Spring and autumn.
Interesting. So if more people can do that and we catch it, that would be really, really cool. And then I'd be like, all right, this guy, he's on to something, and I'm gonna look into it too, because if it's repeatable, a repeatable observation. Hold on, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, then that's worth looking into. And then the second sun that we don't see, when he captured that, I looked more into it, and it's like they're the exact same size, the sun and the sun we don't see, that he captured. And if we can get other people to capture it as well, and the thing is, if other people capture it, it's the sun and the sun we don't see have to be the same size, because otherwise what's going on when other people are saying they caught a second sun that we don't see in the solar telescope? So as long as it's consistently observable, I think that's a good sign. But
yeah, I haven't looked into the research of that, but you have at least Chris Van Matry.
Yep, Van Matry. Yep.
Yeah. So.
So yeah, I would, but yeah, like I have to remain a little bit skeptical. That's just the way I am. But that doesn't mean that I'll take it off the books, and just not look more into it. In opposite, since I'm skeptical, I'm actually gonna look more into it, just to see if like right now I don't maybe he's doing it for the money, because the shoot the moon is you do have to buy it or rent it or whatever. So I see that as a context where all of that is to building up for people to buy a documentary. But again, if at least if it is something verifiable and observable, at least he's out there showing people, and the other people can go ahead and try to reproduce the observations. And if people can do that, then we've got something definitely to talk about.
Yep, for sure.
I don't know. These are interesting times. I don't know about exciting times, but definitely interesting. And so going back to the religion and the end times, and where it's just a continuation that you were saying with farther out and farther in.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going? Is it just an eternal extension, or is there maybe a end to the day for like an 8th day?
Well, yeah. So the 8th day is a crossover between the first day and the 8th day. So you have day 1 through 6, and then you have the 7th day.
Mm-hmm.
Day 1 of the next week is the 8th day.
So is that like a total reset?
Yeah, to a certain extent. So the book that I referred you to, Through New Eyes,
mm-hmm.
is going to give you a lot of the symbolic interpretation. So I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this. I'm not. I suppose I've had original thoughts, but I think that most of us are processing and regurgitating and reverberating and resonating and all of those words. We're processing what we have been given, and so to a certain extent, every thought that we have is original, but it's it's genetic too, right? It's organic.
Oh my goodness.
So
sorry, I got a copyright strike.
what the heck?
Yeah, so you'll have to see it on my, I guess, something, wherever I'm still streaming. But yeah, not just both Web TV Asia. I think so. It looks like my YouTube streaming days are over. What
the
is
heck?
going on?
That is crazy.
Web TV Asia. That's weird. Oh, 2 days ago. Damn, really? All right. Looks like.
Oh, so it's not. It wasn't from tonight. It was 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was from 2 days ago. Man, they really want. That's just pretty bad. Oh well, I have other other options, but or maybe I'll just take a big. And maybe that's a good time to just finally leave YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just a good transition to finally make, is everyone just leaving YouTube, especially the flat earth community.
Where would you go?
D-Live or on Vim.tv for Steemit. They're on the blockchain. There's still Periscope through Twitter, but that's more controlled. There used to be Stream.me, but Stream.me, the platform got taken down because apparently the founders got doxxed. It's getting to be smaller and smaller being able to live stream. It's like that YouTube or Google or whoever it is just takes any chance they can get to give out a copyright strike. And here's the thing is like,
well, but see, I can understand. I don't even know, man. I mean, like, why would you cut off your nose to spite your face? So if you've got a channel that is monetized, which I don't think you are.
I am.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, they can claim a copyright and they would receive the money from the views.
Oh, okay.
But because that a lot of my stuff, that's what happens is like, oh, don't worry, you don't have a copyright strike, but basically any revenue that I would have received from the viewership, that the person that the claimant that claims the copyright, they would get it instead. So I'm always wondering is like, why would you deny yourself extra money from other people using your material? It's like I should be getting thanked if like they made like 2 or 3 cents from me using.
No, I get that. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So. I don't know. It's what it is. We're getting to that point of extreme censorship, which is dangerous.
Okay, so but how do you benefit from being monetized? Do people give you super chats?
I've had my first 2 super chats 4 days ago or something like that. It was like let me see if I can get pictures. Yeah, that's the only money I've ever received. The first 2 super chats. Let's see. On topic. Let's see. On topic. Images. I mean, I've spent more money than I've ever received. I had a Patreon once, but I just gave it to other activists that were in need. And I probably given away like 20 grand of stuff, money, donations, etc. since 2016. Let's see. Yuya Namoto was my second person that gave me a super chat donation. It was $2. And where's the other image? Oh, Ronnie Foshi _5. Or Ronnie Foshi actually. He gave me $5. So I've made $7. Plus, I think you get 55% of it taken away from Google. So yeah, about 3 years worth of work and $7 minus 55% off. That's how much money I've made through Google YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's just if I find something and there's truth out there or information that's worth for people to process, it's all free. I'm gonna show and tell people. Same thing with anything that I find technically, like if you need help technically with OBS or something, I'm just gonna help you out if I have time. Same thing with like I wanted to do a lot more stuff as far as like teaching people like software skills, hardware skills, building their own computer, overclocking, working with HTML, CSS, and maybe C++ and C# because I'm more of a Microsoft type of user. And like what is it? Software testing, quality assurance, that stuff. That's kind of where I wanted to start and go, but then it's just more like, you can learn that so many different places. Maybe quality assurance is the one where I could teach people much better because there's no actual schooling you can take for quality assurance testing, and how to use the different tools to benefit. But basically, I feel like that's just getting more people indoctrinated into the system to promote the system, gain material money out of it, and I'd just be wasting a lot of my time teaching people something like that to be part of the system better. And when I could just be doing other things like talking to you about religious viewpoints and flat earth topics or whatever else that we can talk about.
All right, so let's segue.
All right.
So I completely botched a 2.5-hour stream yesterday. I didn't stream it live. I was recording it.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was I forgot to unmute myself.
Yeah.
So the guy that I was talking with was a baller, and he was from Jose's channel.
Yeah.
But when I went back to listen to it again and realized that I had muted myself, I also realized that he was not coming in audibly, and I think I figured out that because I use Streamlabs.
Yep.
It seemed to me that, okay, let me say it this way. It didn't make sense to me why he wasn't recorded through the software.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed to me that the reason why he wasn't was because my microphone was muted, so that he should have been coming in through my microphone. But I don't want that.
He should be coming through your desktop audio.
Right. So I don't know how to fix that.
So your OBS, you should have different audio mixers, and that's where you would go. So
I don't have OBS anymore. I just have Streamlabs and Voicemeeter Banana.
Oh. Well, Streamlabs is OBS, isn't it? It uses their own version of OBS.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same idea. You would go into settings in audio, and you would set up your desktop audio device, your mic auxiliary audio device, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. That's easier said than done. I'm a total not IT geek. So I've got my let's see. OBS is opening right now, so Streamlabs. Okay, so I'm gonna hit my toggle. My microphone is giving me feedback. So I'm up here with the toggle switch.
Mm-hmm.
I've got general, stream, output, audio. You want me to go to audio?
Yep.
Okay. I got desktop audio is my speakers. So what I'm saying is that then, so if I were with you online right now, you would be coming through my speakers, and the only reason why you'd be recorded is because you're getting fed through my microphone.
No. Whatever I'm saying, you're using Google Hangouts, right? To do interviews?
It depends. I mean, I can do Skype or
okay.
Hangouts.
Yeah.
You know,
so whatever application that you're using to talk with someone else. So if you're using Skype, your Skype audio setting for your desktop audio setting will need to be the same as your OBS. So whatever goes through Skype or Google Hangouts or whatever it is, you have to use that same audio setup that you use for your Streamlabs OBS. Because then whenever it filters through to you listening in, it'll feed that through OBS.
All right, so I just opened up Skype. I've got my microphone is my snowball. So, but I'm not seeing anything else for audio. It just has the microphone.
Let me check Skype real quick. Wow, I can't sign in because of my internet connection. What is going on over here?
You must have pissed somebody off.
Maybe someone's trying to take me down. I don't know. I'm small game. I don't know why people would want to take me down. What's Skype? All right, let me end task. Let's try it again. Whew. And that's the thing is with smaller mediums, we'll talk about anything because you've got nothing to lose. You just talk about whatever you want. Maybe they just don't like that.
Yeah.
Why isn't it opening? Hold on. Why not Skype for Business? Skype. Just there you go. Okay, finally I'm on. All right, so let's go to settings on Skype, audio and video. Oh, you got to scroll down. So when you're in setting on Skype, and you go to audio and video, scroll down, and you'll see speakers.
No, because I just have settings, so it just says account profile, general appearance, audio, video.
Yep, go to audio and video.
I'm sorry, I didn't go over to the right and scroll down. Okay,
yeah.
So speakers.
Yep, and there's a drop down.
Yeah. Okay, so then I just switched those over to the to my external speakers. Okay, I see that. Okay.
Yeah. So whatever, basically everything needs to feed over to whatever your Streamlabs OBS settings are.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. And you want to make sure that the mic is the same for your OBS and your Skype.
Right. Yeah. I did that. I saw that. Okay.
And yeah, it's one thing that always check early on and with your Streamlabs is when you look into your mixer, like you've got your scenes, your sources in your mixer, is you've got the green and the yellow and the red, so you could always see how things are. You could adjust things too, like for your right now. I've got my mic set up so it's good, so people can hear me loud and clear. But other people, like you, come out a little bit muted. Like if you say something, or can you say something?
Check.
Okay,
check,
so it's
check.
hitting yellow, so that's not bad. But you can always adjust it by in your mixer. There's that pinwheel that goes to settings, and if you go to filters and you add filters, you can make it so you can gain it. You can make sure that there's more it just increases the volume in other terms. You can do it by percentage, and then there's also something that I use for my mic. It's a filter for what do I use? Let me just double check. So my filters, I use noise suppression because I've got like sometimes if it gets warm or something, I might have a fan on. But here in my basement, it's always cold, so sometimes I have my space heater on. And sometimes there's just noise coming from like the laundry room, so I suppress the noise level by negative 30 decibels. So then it just gets rid of the background noise. So that helps to make it a little bit clearer for people, so they can hear you better. So just certain things to test out. And what I usually do is before I go on, is I just do a quick local recording and just play back the local recording just to make sure everything comes out like I want it to. But I don't think you could do that with Streamlabs OBS. I think if you do a local recording, it goes up to the cloud. But I don't know how much storage you get with Streamlabs.
Well, no, I mean I have a record button that I can do instead of going live.
Yep.
And I've got that set up for my external hard drive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so Streamlabs does it locally. So that's what I usually do before I do like an interview. At least what I did way before, because now I just make sure to check everything. And great thing about doing things live is like people say, "Hey, we can't hear you," so I could adjust it on the fly.
Right.
All right. So who's are you gonna try to redo that interview with the globe earther that you had earlier?
I think we'll talk again. I don't think I can reduplicate everything we talked about, but he was pretty even-handed. You know, he wasn't crazy. He wasn't belligerent. He wasn't a rumpus.
Yeah.
So I think that we can have a follow-up conversation.
That's nice. I like that because I just get tired of the globe earthers that go on Nathan Oakley's channel.
Well, but he's exactly the same mentality. Ultimately, at the base, as you know, the foundation. It's just that his approach is not to rumpus. His approach is not to be caustic and hostile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he's going to come. You know, I'm sitting there talking to him and hearing him say what he says, and I'm thinking, you don't get this, man. This should be so easy for you to get, but it's that cognitive. Either he's completely suppressing and just pushing away the information, or he honestly doesn't get it. I mean, that to me, those are the only two choices. You either honestly can't get it, or you get it and you're bullshitting.
That's Nathan Oakley, you mean? Or you're talking about
Well, like, so the guy that I'm talking about right now is either he's trolling me.
Oh, okay.
You know, so he's playing me, which means he's being intentionally duplicitous, which to me seems to be very difficult, because if you know how to act, you have to, like if I asked you to pretend to be me, at least theologically, and go into a chat room, there's no way you could pull it off right now. There's no way. You couldn't be me. You couldn't say what I think. You would have to completely own the way that I think. So when I think through some of these people, I'm thinking these people have to be so astute and sharp in order to act as if they were ballers arguing for, you know, the position that they are.
Okay.
So this guy that I'm talking to is coming across as a baller because he's committed to the system, but he's willing to have a conversation. You know, he's willing to talk about it. So for all intents and purposes, I'm taking him at face value. He's not being intentionally misleading. You know, he's not misrepresenting himself.
Yeah. That's okay. So we're talking about globe ballers, but different globe ballers who come on and talk about the globe Earth model and against flat Earth model.
Right, and as opposed to Rumpus, he's not going to call me an utter moron. You know, he's not going to. This guy, when he and I talked back and forth, and I would say something contrary, he didn't come back at me with aggression like Rumpus would, or Brenda, or, you know, Tommy, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, what's interesting about Brenda is she does it snidely. You know, she'll make a little snide little comment that's not like a directly aggressive. It's just, you know, it'll demean you the way that she says it.
It's passive aggressive.
Yeah. It's pretty funny to see how these play out. And then when you call her out on it, she'll play the victim card.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I guess if we want to say it this way, she's a male, but she's actually acting like a female pretty well.
Well, yeah. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, but I'd love to have them on, actually, because I've had trolls on, but I love to troll trolls, in a way, because their intent is to get you outraged, to get you yelling, and to be angry. But when that doesn't happen, it gets them a little bit more angry, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like they'll just talk for a long time, and then when they stop, you know, I'll just say one thing, and they'll just go off again. And I like waiting for that moment. Where it should be the other way. If you're gonna troll someone, you have that person that you're trolling talk a lot. You come back with one thing and get them all outraged. So that's the thing about trolling trolls is if they're not ready for it, they realize that they're getting trolled themselves. But it's not like I'm looking to troll them. It's not like I'm going on their channel to troll them, right? They're coming in my channel or a channel where I'm a guest on or something like that. So I just counterattack. I don't really be aggressive and attack them. I always want them to troll. Like I always like to ask the trolls or the agents, you know, why are they here? I mean, do they enjoy the controllers? Do they trust government? Do they trust bankers? Do they trust whatever? And if the answer is yes, then of course, fine. But if it's no, then I always go, well, why don't you go and troll them? Isn't that something better to do? You'll also get more views because all those channels have hundreds, if not thousands, of people viewing live streams. So if you troll them effectively, you're gonna get more viewers, I guess, wherever if you're recording these or these trolling sessions and uploading them. But like trolling someone like me, like 3 or 4 people that are viewing it, it's like why even bother? It's like go troll TYT or Alex Jones or Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So I just feel as though
I don't know. Maybe they are lower level trolls and they got to work their way up, and so you're the starting point.
yeah, that's what I say, and I always tell them that I'm sorry that you're stuck with me with my 4-hour live streams talking about things that that will open your eyes to the truth and all this other stuff. So I do make fun of them in a way, like a not like a mean way, but just kind of like a fake pity.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it's 2:39.
Okay.
I got to get to bed, bro.
No problem. Thanks for stopping by. Maybe one day you'll have me on your channel. I don't know how to get on your Hangouts. If you have one.
Well, yeah. If ever I'm on, I'll just and you're around, I'll either shoot you a Hangout link in the Skype or whatever. So yeah.
Okay.
I
Cool.
mean, I'm really interested in like I had a show that today with Mark Doxey, where we just looked over some footage. I wouldn't mind looking over that same footage with you or with anybody, because I'm interested in having that discussion and just seeing what other people think.
Yeah.
Because I'm going back there, like I said, in a week, and I'm going to be shooting the same islands, the same oil rigs, and I want to try to figure out, what would be possibly the best way to go about it. So,
do you have a drone?
I don't. I've been looking online, just to see if I want to spend that kind of money yet, but
Yeah.
I haven't gone out and done that yet.
Because what I think would be cool is to take, because they have good stabilizers. If it's a calm day and it's not windy, and just slowly raise it up to a certain height and then raise it back down, just so you can get like a different viewing angle when it's zoomed into a distant object.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
And what else? Another idea is, rather than viewing something straight on, is if you can take one from an angle from that, so have a picture or video that's straight on to the viewing distance of that object, and if you can, try to go as maybe, if you can, like half a mile perpendicular to that viewing angle, and the other way half a mile, so you've got a full mile range of that object.
So what you're saying is if I'm on the beach and I've got an object in my viewfinder, to then walk down the beach keeping that object in my viewfinder?
Yeah, not necessarily like a video, but just take it in increments of maybe 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards, etc., just so you can have different angles on it of the same viewing object. And so see if there's anything that changes based off of the difference in the viewing angle. And also try to keep that viewing angle not in the center of the frame, but at the edge of the frame as well. So you know how when we take pictures, we always try to keep it centered?
Yeah.
But keep it at the edge. Just keep it on the edge on either just the left or the right side, whichever one, just so we have like a difference of I don't know what you call it, just direction in some ways.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I've never done that. I feel like that's, I'd have to say that, thank you in advance that someone's doing all this work, because I understand how difficult it is to take these videos and these pictures and setting up, because it takes time. I mean, like,
well, that's not even the half of it. The time that's killing me is going back and looking at the files that I forgot about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest part. Like even right now, I've been going through stuff this whole time. When I came back into the apartment for the past hour, I've been going through videos, because I filmed a boat going into the distance and having miraging effects. And I know that I shot on 2 different days, and I can't find the other one. So I, while we've been talking, I've been going through each file and backing up, and I can't find it. But yeah, I mean, even from November, there's stuff that I still haven't looked at from November.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I hate looking through videos. I feel like pictures, it's easy because you can open up your a folder and just have a large icon view of everything. But with videos, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because you have to play back, and it might have been
yeah, it could be at minute 17 out of 30.
Yeah. So that's the same thing with all my fishing videos. It's like I'll forget to turn it off my GoPro, and then I have like an hour video, and I have to find the one where I caught 1 or 2 fish.
So what are you, a bass fisherman then?
Trout. So I only fish to well, not like I'll fish certain fish and throw it back, but like I'm really fishing to eat. Like we're basically vegetarians, but if I hunt it or if I fish it, I'll eat it. So
yeah,
mostly I catch trout.
You get pretty good sized trout where you're at? Not
here. If I go up an hour and 15, an hour 30 minutes away, there's a spring fed creek. And the fish there, they have a hatchery there, but the fish there, once they get released, there's a huge stream or huge creek and a huge lake where they can get bigger. Because once trout get to, I think, 22 inches or so, once they start eating other fish, they won't eat flies, they won't eat the typical things that smaller trout will eat. So they just get bigger and bigger the older they get. But I don't like to catch those to eat them. I would just release them. But it's just nice catching a huge trout every once in a while, and just because just the fight involved and the that's also a good thing about fishing. Like if I use power bait dough and certain things like that, like I know I'm just gonna catch trout. But if I use a worm, I don't know what I'm gonna catch. I could catch a largemouth, I could catch a smallmouth, I could catch a crappie, bluegill, whatever, and they could be big. And it's just it's fun because you never know what's gonna happen when you're fishing.
Yeah.
And the fishing stories are always the best too. I like the fishing stories of going out fishing with other people, and like I would talk about this guy named Mike. Every time we go out, something weird happens. And those stories are always great because you can tell them over and over. You know, fishing stories are great.
So do you have a long way to travel before you go fishing, or is it pretty local?
It's pretty local. Like what I like to do is I like to go to different fishing spots and see what's there. Things that might be in like wildlife management areas, or maybe those that aren't even listed in Google Maps, and something that's like looks remote, and just see what's there. And but most of the time, if I want to fish to eat, I'll just go. It's like a 2-minute drive away. There's a little pond that they stock every spring and fall, so it's nice and convenient. But in the summer, I may like to eat like bluegill. Like in the winter, when I ice fish, I want to catch yellow perch, but there's no yellow perch in Nebraska unless it's like northwest Nebraska, which is a shame because yellow perch are good eating.
Huh. Why do you say compare a yellow perch to a trout for me?
Trout is kind of fatty, like it's not white meat, it's not white flaky meat, whereas yellow perch is white flaky meat. And if you catch yellow perch during the winter when it's under the ice, it's just, you don't get any of that fishy taste. It's just nice and clean and crisp. You want to cook it in higher temperatures, the whiter, flakier the meat. But with trout, there's a lot of the texture that you would lose if you get away all of the juiciness. I don't know. There's a certain term, like the moisture of the meat. So you want to cook it in like more lower medium heat than you would just high meat. But I've had certain trout where I've done like a trout, like a jerk trout, like the Caribbean type of way of cooking it, and that's pretty good. But as long as you retain that moisture, the trout is really good. But with the yellow perch and white flaky meat, you want to that moisture isn't that important. You really don't want that moisture because then it can taste fishy. But with yellow perch, it doesn't get to be that way.
Huh.
No, it's just weird. It's weird how we can taste subtle differences in different things.
What's the bait for perch?
I usually just use night crawlers. You can use anything to jig things. Like you could just use a lot of soft bait, like fake bait, and they'll go for it since they're pretty aggressive. It sucks because when I'm trying to catch trout, sometimes I'll just always catch small yellow perch. That annoys the heck out of me. And then when I'm trying to catch yellow perch, all I do is catch trout, and I just it's like, come on, I want trout today, and then I get yellow perch, and then it's like, all right, finally I want yellow perch, and I'll catch trout. This was way back in Massachusetts when I used to fish in Walden Pond.
Yeah.
Do you do anything outdoors?
I just shoot with the camera. I grew up hiking and camping and stuff like that in California, but I haven't done anything like that in quite a while.
Yeah, it's got to be tough over there. At least in the Maryland, Virginia, aren't there like underground caverns and stuff?
There are, but I haven't ever taken the time out to go venture out and see those. I'm trying to think I probably saw one once, probably about 6 years ago. Went on a trip, and we went into a cavern. But I yeah, you're right. There are some out this way. Yeah.
Because those could be interesting to take a look at, and just maybe try to take pictures of something that might be interesting in a flat Earth perspective. Because I've been to underground caverns, but that was always in just globe Earth and taking everything for granted. But if I went to an underground cavern now to just check it out, it's like, would I have a different viewpoint on the things that I'm seeing there, you know?
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to keep you. Thanks for stopping by. I'll probably just gonna do one video just to upload, telling people that YouTube gave me a copyright strike. And all right, I'll see you later.
All right, Ebon. Good talking to you, man.
Nice talking to you. All right. Good night.